तू क्या है?
क्या है? गली का चुप रहा है.
Aww, he's just a gully boy.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
There are a few films that you enjoy the first time and look forward to a time in the future where you can watch it again, learning new stuff about them. I've made quite a thing out of it, to be honest. But there are certain films that just rub you the wrong way the first time you watch it. It's annoying because you have to come up with arguments to justify your feelings. More so if that film is as popular and raved upon as Gully Boy, that came out last year. Not only are you going against your intimate circle in public at large, you reason with yourself to stick true to your guts, or change how you feel after studying a bit. Point is, it's a constant battle within you to justify and renew your feelings because you just can't let it go. And I can't let it go. Gully Boy was a film that worked with the audience, but where it nailed the tonality and perhaps the marketing aspects, it fails on fronts that are arguably far more important, an actually detailed script, and wait for it, politics. And I'm going to talk about some of the issues that made Gully Boy one of the more overhyped and possibly problematic films in the last few years or so. So, staying true to the film's concept of passionate rap battles, I am releasing a freshly squeezed diss on Gully Boy. A diss video essay. A video dissay. A dissio essay. Zoya Akhtar made this film a huge fanfare since it dived into the underbelly of modern day Bombay to bring to us a story about the booming underground hip hop scene in the country. So there was pretty good build up there. Not only that, before this film, Zoya had made films that for the most part talked about stories from the other end of the class spectrum. So the hype to see her break away from a comfort zone in double quotes was there too. In isolation, Gully Boy is not a trash film. It's mediocre at best. Basically, it's a movie about a super unlikable boy whose only thing by design that he's got going for himself is that he's poor. That is the only thing we are meant to be behind him for. Other than that, Murad is a man-child who's literally babied throughout the film by everyone. Like, everyone. I'll go into more detail about the film, but let's talk about something else. What made Gully Boy leave a sour taste in my mouth is all of the external context. Yeah, I have that bad habit. Throughout the plethora of interviews across the internet, Zoya Akhtar and her main cast to an extent displayed tone deafness that could be stated as being cringeworthy to some people. There is a biting distinction that Zoya created between the privileged sect that she belongs to and the underprivileged that the film wants to be about. There have been so many dumb debates about whether filmmakers who haven't lived the experiences of the stories should be allowed to make films about those issues. Bro, Ridley Scott did not have to be trapped on another planet to make a story like The Martian. That's tone deaf too if you use that point. You're minimizing real socio-political scenarios to bring a fictionalized concept for an argument. Films can be made by anyone, about any topic. That's not my opinion, that is how it is. Period. But if you can't look past projecting your own desires and a warped notion of sympathy and awe into a topic that deserves to be told with earnestness, don't make the film. And that is what I feel happens with Zoya. After claiming to be introduced to the songs of Nazi and Divine, Zoya Akhtar got inspired and along with a band of award-winning posh cohorts, she tipped her webbed fingers into the slums of Dharavi where the story takes place. In one of the interviews talking about the process with Huffington Post, Zoya proudly praises the names of the set collaborators. I have a lot of help. Rima and I had the film memorized, so we know our character arcs backwards. Then we had Vijay and two young boys from Dharavi who were rappers, one of whom played Chintu in the film. I don't know why I did that accent, it wasn't in the script, but it's gonna stick. The fact that the boys who according to Zoya played a big part in getting the language right did not have their names splashed out in the vein of Kakti or Maurya might not be sinister so to say, but it does lay bare the mindset of exploitative bigwigs. They did additional dialogue and were on set as dialogue supervisors throughout the film. They were there to see if it sounded right. If they wanted to change a word, they could. They knew the lingo. These guys would work with the actors, rap with them, talk to them, constantly. For someone to be surprised by the fact rappers like Divine gain millions of views on YouTube without being a part of big labels the way they should be, Zoya somewhat exposes the small world of elitism she belongs to. That with all the supposed right steps she took in order to make this film feel authentic, something that I refer to as her gaze does seep into the calculated world she builds in the film.
How did you ensure that it's not that bandstand gaze? See, you have to go in.
This can be seen in a song sequence called Duri, that specifically talks about the distinction and disparity between the classes that Murad feels through his experiences in a few scenes. But when you look at the external context, it is not Murad, it is Zoya who is rightfully voicing the point.
You have to go in. You have to go in and you have to be there. You have to listen to them. You have to really take in their experiences.
The camera shots that are dramatically zooming in towards the working class as they are meant to be looking deep into our eyes do more to ironically create a bigger divide than intended. We know it is Zoya's perspective and it is uncomfortable. Look at these poor, unfortunate people working out of necessity and not out of passion. What a state. That is the gaze that I'm talking about. Only because I had the misfortune of reading her blurt out stupid shit during promotional work before I watched the film. In another sheer attempt of putting her foot in her mouth, Zoya shared her infinite knowledge through readings to talk about feminism. In the interview with Midday, she talked about how the thing she liked the most about Divine and Nazi is that they were hardcore feminists. Which is fine on its own, but she did not stop there. I don't think they know the word, but it's in the way they talk about women and also in the way they don't talk about them. And she was rightfully called out by Nazi on his Twitter for the verbal garbage. I think she forgot about feminism when it came to actually giving representation to women rappers like DMC, who was there to just cheer on the guys. But sure, what am I even talking about, right? Being impressed with someone mostly because of their social status is worse than not being impressed at all. It is patronizing. Don't run after money, says Guy. Follow your passion. Sitting inside her SUV. And it wasn't said ironically. How high a seat are these guys sitting on? Sky is a problem in itself along with the many issues in the film. So let's move towards the movie, shall we?
वो निकली तेरे गली से, पर अब वो मेरे गली में.
Post the release of the film, Zoya Akhtar had been firing on all cylinders, shooting down all criticisms with her intellect. To the allegations of Ranveer being brown-faced in a movie in 2019, she dismissed them with a technical quip like, "What to do? Ranveer came back after a holiday in Maldives and he was quite tanned, so we had to give his look consistency," conveniently ignoring the fact that Bollywood had been dealing with issues of appropriation and the support against it was only seeming to get stronger before they decided to do this. In the same interview, she moves on to detail the hustle with the look by strictly shooting between 7 am and 7 pm so Ranveer could go swimming without having to remove the color. I mean, I'm not an expert, but if you're going to great lengths to keep a look consistent and you have the money to spend, how about moving the shoot up to when the tan naturally went away and not shitting over the voices calling to end appropriation? I would have Ranveer in different skin tones throughout the film any day over this, and it won't have a bearing on my opinion of the film in the very least. Moving on to the socio-economic reality of the film. Well, I'm just gonna say the film missed out on actually deserving the many accolades it received. The film takes inspiration from real-life stories of artists that grew up in oppressed conditions and faced adversities. But it takes away from the reality of the world by blatantly focusing on just one aspect: poverty. And I can't overstate how one-dimensional it makes the film seem. Like, this could have been so much bigger. Murad literally has only one adversary throughout the film, and that is being poor. The soundtrack of the film solely focuses on this inspiring notion of raging against the system and fighting back. But where is this system? The movie misses out on showing us where the actual disparity is coming from. If Murad is oppressed, he is oppressed only by his father's rationality and his social status. The film ignores the means of oppression and all the while blaringly capitalizes on themes of breaking free through the lyrics of the songs. This does not make for cinema grounded in reality, it makes for shabby storytelling. The people who are of a higher social status are only in the film to either provide Murad and his family with means to survive or encourage Murad. And I am talking about only the non-rapping characters. The rapping rich boys were given just one character design, and that is to rag on Murad being poor through the rap battles. I'm not saying incorporating an evil businessman would make it more real. It's cliche, but it might, I don't know. But anyway, the underprivileged in the reality of our world struggle because of the public policies and exploitative laws that make it hard for them to move up the social ladder. Gully Boy makes it look like it is all in the head of people, that with the correct amount of passion and hard work, you can achieve your dreams. And that is whimsical. And it is romanticization of this notion that you have to be extraordinary to even be considered to live a decent life with basic necessities.
कल को मैं ऑफ हो गया, लोग फिर भी ये वीडियो देखेंगे, कुछ महसूस करेंगे, इसका कदर है, मेरा कदर है। मेरी कभी फालतू में गिनती नहीं करना।
And that's problematic. I don't have anything to say about Alia. I'm indifferent towards her. Like, sometimes people be crazy. What can I say? Safina and Murad deserve each other in their own problematic sense, so I'm cool. Sky is the real piece of work here. She is a fly on the wall designed to represent Zoya in the film. I'm not making that up. Like, it came from Zoya. Sky's only purpose in the film is to be enamored by Murad's supposed talent and help elevate him. That is it. She is just this bland, one-dimensional good person who comes from a world that is far separated from Murad's but still connects with him on an artistic level. There's no real reason for her to be infatuated by him more than a one-night stand stage, but this is Bollywood, so the only reason I could think of, and it is a reach, is that it symbolizes Zoya's attraction towards the underground scene, not in a sexual way. In probably the most horribly written scene in the film, Murad straight out asks Sky why she likes him, and then we have a mess of a dialogue that's just uncomfortable to sit through.
तुमको मालूम है मैं किधर से?
तो आर्टिस्ट हो, कहाँ से आए हो, क्या लेके आए हो, क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how
He asks her why she likes him, and she tells him that he is an artist and it doesn't matter where he comes from. What? If somebody doesn't give you a straight answer to a question like that, it is a red flag. Run. It usually alludes to a chance that they're attracted to the idea of you and not you. And the film lacks the self-awareness to actually address this flaw in Sky, so she remains one-dimensional throughout. So yeah, Murad's fight is not with the system, it's with poverty itself. People who are of the same background as Murad are shown to be slaves to their fate. That is a problematic notion to put out to the world.
लोग चलते हैं सारे जन्म, जानते भी नहीं, सोचते भी नहीं, पूछते भी नहीं, उनको ये रास्ता लेकर कहीं जाएगा.
The film just ignores actual struggles of the underprivileged that fight through discrimination against them and exploitation along with stigma. It doesn't have to mean every film should talk about social issues, but if your film is amped to be one of the most important films of the year, I think it becomes open for the same level of scrutiny because the film does capitalize on the issues without doing anything to question the system. I decided to keep the cherry for the end. In the HuffPost article from earlier, when asked about how the modern reality of India and the rise of Hindutva affected a protagonist who was a lower-class Muslim boy, Zoya Akhtar, in her infinite wisdom, had this to say: "It's a very different space. When you are a Muslim, you're already out of the caste system in a sense. You can't bundle it all into one. It's much more nuanced. If anyone can decipher what she means, good for you, because it is hard for things to not get lost in translation when you're speaking from that thick a bubble." Zoya defends her apparent apolitical stance with so much grit that she argues that the film has to foreground the political reality of the film and not the real world. Right, maybe that is why the song video of the track Azadi, we'll get to that, there's a clip where Murad notices a policeman slapping a Muslim boy, which is conveniently edited out of the film version. So what is the political reality of the film? Zoya, thing is, if you make a film on oppression, you have to at least hint at the socio-economic roots, which is not too far away from politics. Otherwise, it is just exploitative. Exploitative like in the case of the use of Dab Sharma's Azadi. A lot has been already said, so I'll just skip to the relevant chunk. Zoya defended the use of the song, removing all the political notions, like the sloganeering by student activist Kanhaiya Kumar from the original, by saying the Azadi poem was made long before his usage in JNU protests in 2016, and that it has a lot of different variations, not just one. Zoya diverted from the actual issue here. The problem is not about her using a poem. The problem is the studio picking up a popular protest song and removing its protest slogans and adding on rap verses that are vaguely anti-oppression. If the intent wasn't to use a political element, why use a song that is known for its political theme? Isn't that exploitative? Isn't that trying to shamelessly capitalize on the movement without raising the same question that made it relevant? They had amazing people working on the soundtrack, including Dab Sharma. Why could they not have made just another song? It is this overt spinelessness that lowers the stock a film holds when it comes to being important to the times. Ranveer Singh, the torchbearer of the underground hip-hop scene, a movement that started to fight against oppression, had this to say. Azadi is not a track I've directly engaged with. It's used as a montage in the film, so I haven't had any real engagement. I love listening to it. It's a catchy track. I guess there's a lot going on in his life as an actor, so he's very, very involved in his own little world. I think it all comes back to the question whether affluent filmmakers can avoid the aforementioned gaze when making a film, and if so, what tools are necessary for doing so. A tight grip on technicality for sure, but I believe the most crucial element is empathy. Had Zoya's effort for the script not been about making Murad relatable to the more privileged audience, but actually make the privileged class more aware of Murad's struggle, the film could have been very different than what it was. And it all depends on whether you sympathize with your subject or truly empathize.
You have to listen to them, you have to really take in their experiences, and you have to look at the world the way they see it.
Going to the slums for a week, hell a month even, to observe does not help you avert the case. In fact, observing is synonymous with case. Studying a location helps you in doing just that. Nail the geography of the film, not empathize with the humans living there. To reflect the voices of the unheard, it is crucial to give back the voice to the unheard. Zoya uses these voices to translate her words and understandings into the dialect of the geography. That does not constitute of giving them a voice. It's the opposite, and the film suffers because of that, at least for me. The fact that Ranveer being brown-faced does not have a bearing in her mind in the slightest about the prevalent issues in the film industry tells you what needs to be said. Zoya Akhtar has stated to try and not be specifically known for making films based on a certain class. So it's pretty ironic that the person who's working towards building this distinction between the classes is Zoya herself. In an interview, again, she states how her next project was going to be made in heaven, which is a rich class story. I think when you yourself give these distinctions rich and poor in an attempt to diversify your filmography, you create problems for yourself. Zoya Akhtar's films could be about the way humans interact and the nuances that different relationships develop. But it feels like there's a bigger agenda than that. And that's too bad. Because she's kind of one of the better ones we've got in the mainstream land at least. And Gully Boy could have been so much more. It is such a missed opportunity for a mainstream Bollywood film to shed light on the issues prevalent in the society. But probably in an attempt to remain appealing to a certain crowd, it shies away at actually saying something. I started this video with the notion that whatever I'm going to say will be my opinion, but the readings that I've done have helped me understand the bigger picture. It's fine if you don't agree with what I've said. If you thought the film was great, good for you. It just wasn't for me. Some of it was the film actually being meh, while a lot of it was Zoya Akhtar tripping over and falling into a trench full of horrible takes. I think the theme of her career has kind of been, it is all her doing, honestly. And with all of that out of the way, it's time for me to give Gully Boy a rating. I'll give it a 4.7 out of 5. Bye. I usually don't do these end video CTAs, primarily because I forget to write them and I'm too lazy. But for the two of you that are actually here by the end, I want to thank you for watching the video. It takes a lot of effort and time to make these videos, so I'd really appreciate if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel. It gives me a massive boost in confidence. And if you have anything to say, please comment down below. I'll see you guys next time. This is the second act. Okay, bye.